All right. So can you hear me? Jose, can you hear me? Jose? You know the problem is that you should be sitting up front. Don't get them upset. Um, yeah, like I was saying, when I send an email, said I can say that thank you for those of you that respond, and either if you have a question, you respond to it, and I'm sure that that this week, some of you did get the email that says, please, the the yeah, some of you got the email. Credit, credit, credit. Oh, it's not. Gaga. Oh, yeah, exactly. So past week, some of you, everybody got that email. Please hold the email. The thing is, on Wednesday night, usually 11 o'clock, I wait for everybody to put their score in, and I go ahead and create the pay sheet. And first thing in the morning before I go to work, I do the ACH, send it to the bank. And I got an email very early. And this young lady, poor lady, and as I was doing her pay sheet, I said to myself, oh my God, she hasn't worked much, and because she's going to school and all that. It was Stephanie. Stephanie Obuku sent me an email. She said, you know, I got two games, and sure enough, it was one for $45. The other one is only $45. I said, oh my God. And I went back and looked to see why she didn't get paid for the second one. And I realized that, wait a minute, she's not the only one. Everybody else didn't get the 16, so I had to go and we do the pay sheet. And since the ACH was already done, I figured, okay, instead of waiting for the next cycle, I'll just do another ACH. And then, boom, I was getting email after email after email. Oh, you know, my pay sheet says this and this says that. And I said to hold the emails, and because everything was going to be fine. So I hope everybody got the other part of the check. Did everybody get it or didn't get it? Got it, right? The people who did direct deposit got it because everybody else checks are here. I know that. All right, so you'll be collecting your checks before you leave today. The next thing, in the past email I sent also, it's very important. Our next meeting is going to will be in next year, right? So what do we do in December? We take care of 1099. So it's very important that you go in Arbiter and make sure your information is correct, especially your Social Security number. All right, don't worry about it. They're not going to print out, they're not going to send all the digits, just the last 4 digits going to be showing on your 1099. So don't worry about it, but make sure that it is correct. I check on my list right now. Some of the names are not popping up, maybe because you didn't make $600 yet, but later on I'm sure it's going to, your name will be on the list. So by December 15th, Arbiter wants us to put everything in. So by Wednesday, I hope everything is in correctly. All right. Next thing. I have a question while you're on that. Yeah. Are you going to use Wednesday as the cutoff or Thursday? The dates are already on Arbiter. If you look at them, I do the pay sheet on Wednesday, okay, and the payment is gone to the on Thursday. So that it should hit your bank by Friday, Saturday, or Monday. Okay. All right. So that's, and then we did that like that. So you should have some money for Christmas. All right. All right. That's great. The other thing in the email also, we talk about different travel fee for Orange County, and then we've probably gone over this about 3 times already. Because Orange County, the schools in Orange County, last year we know that they wanted to do $15 travel fee, and we fought with them, but okay, they won. But this year, we gone $20 in all of the counties except Orange County, but not the schools, not the private schools in Orlando and Orange County. In other words, the schools that are part of OCPS are the ones that are paying $15. But there are some games, and you probably will see it, those of you who've done those games already, that are EROC that changed to what we call an elite game. So games that are could be having troubles in the games that need referees that can actually handle them, you will get the $20. And I've been going over them, and I always change them to that level. Okay. So any question on that? Because, you know, I really thought that by Orange County not paying the travel fee, some of you guys would be willing to travel to Lake County. But Kevin, it's not working. It's not working. Because, guys, we know we're suffering in Lake County, okay? You know, we have, for example, Montverde Academy, you know, they have a great program over there. Good soccer, good team and stuff like that. But, you know, some of you guys, according to Kevin, do not want to go over there. The good referees don't want to go there. And they pay $20 travel, guys, okay? And then I've said that. Yeah, exactly. And then I've said that before, and we need you guys to actually, you don't have to go there every night, but please, come on. Give us, help us, okay? Because Rick and I, we're the ones that doing most of these games, and come on, guys, we need some help, okay? ICAs. We still have some people that didn't have ICAs in, right, Kristen? All right, and you have to. If you didn't do it the last meeting, do it to no one. Because the ICA change, it's not only your consent to receive direct deposit, but it's an agreement with us. And there are things in there that we want you to sign for, and then you have to fill out a new one, okay? The thing I want to talk about again is the red R and the yellow R. We gave you the app. It's free for you to use, and it's a good thing. You know, you finish your game, you go onto your phone and put the score in. Guess what? When you put the score in, I said that in the email also, if you have time, wait until you get home and do it in your computer at home or in your laptop. This way it goes green automatically. But when you use the phone, it keeps it on the yellow R. I have to go in there and verify. Got it? Some of you probably said that, why is this thing still yellow? Because, and there was no issue in the game because I still have to verify. All right, so if you have time, right? Yeah, I understand Wednesday night, you know, you're not going to get there on time, so you need to put it in. I'll go in there and fix it and verify it for you and use your phone. But if you have time, you know, go home and do it on your computer, okay? I have a quiz. How many studies that we have on Arbiter? I'll give you a hint. We have normal, and what's the other one? Forfeit, canceled, suspended. All right, for some of you, we seem like we only have one. It's normal, 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 and normal. Because, guys, if you show up to a school and the home team didn't show up, what is it? It's a forfeit. If you come to get to a school, the home team is not there and the visiting team is not there, and you call Kevin and Kevin says, I have no idea. What is it? It's a forfeit. Because I'm saying, now you have to put it as in a forfeit, okay? That's where you get paid. You don't have to put a score in there, just put it as a forfeit. And explain in the comments box, we showed up, and then we called Kevin at 6:15. Kevin says he didn't get an email from the athletic directors. Then you get paid for the game and travel. Got it? All right? I said I don't have anything more to talk about. Any question? Yes, Tom?
I have a couple of JV only games.
Good, very good question.
I don't have the
Whoa, my kind of guy. My kind of guy. All right, that's a good point you got there. I almost forgot that. Guys, when you have a JV only game, a standalone JV, arbiter will not kick in the travel. So what I would suggest we do now, since I look for them all the time, what I would suggest you do, put anything in the comment box. It's going to keep that, turn that yellow, then I can see it's a JV game. All right, then I put the travel in, okay? Is that ideal? So we see, these are the things that some people that not here tonight won't know about, right? Tom?
Okay, I have a couple questions, and if you don't know the answer to this, I'd like you to research it and have it in the minutes, so that when the minutes are chronologized, the information will be there. You know, at the 2000, at the end of last year, what our bank account balance was?
Last year?
Yeah, at the end, at February, March, whenever we were done paying the last payroll, what was our financial?
We had about $46,000 in our money market, and another 43, if I believe, in checking account.
And anything in the savings?
No,
So all we had was
about 89.
89,000 after the last payroll was paid
Yeah,
last year.
yeah. And if you want, I could post a tax return on December for you, if you want a copy of it.
That pretty much answers my question. I was always in there standing there to carry over like 50,000.
Well, we did hit that to a point, and last year we reduced our admit fees for the schools, and of course we put a lot of spending in there, like dry feeds. We had the classics, we had the banquet, we had all the stuff that we did put in there.
Is there any way that you can email me a copy of
I could, yeah, no problem. You want it? I'll send it to you.
That's fine. That's good. That's
Any other question? Good? All right. All right, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you.
We're supposed to vote on the officials that are qualified by Gainesville to do postseason. We have not gotten that list yet as far as evaluations because we're still missing 27 evaluations that were in the past, but Gainesville, for whatever reason, doesn't have them. So, again, you still have time. If you're interested in doing postseason, get an evaluation this week, because once we get that list from Gainesville corrected, we'll be sending it out on Arbiter for all of you. If you have any questions about it, you can contact us to let you know who's qualified.
What's the deadline for evaluation?
This week.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Probably gonna try and use the tournament that we
you're pushing it. They're supposed to get the list in December. Well, no, I take that back. They extended it. They keep extending everything. They've extended it till January 2nd. So we'll extend it through the holiday break for all those tournaments if you want to get an evaluation. Charlie. Yeah, the other gentleman that we have is out of Lakeland, and I believe John Bauman.
But the list is up there. In the email, we sent you the link to the list. You can see who's.
In the email, we sent you a link to the list of evaluators.
Yeah, I didn't know if we could pick from any of them or if I heard that.
No, you can pick from anybody on there. As long as they're not in our association as Dr. Bro and Sean Michael Kemp are. It's a little biased there, so. With that said, our next order of business is Dr. Bro has some exciting news for you all. This counts also as part of your requirements for FHSAA.
Good evening. Would the members of the training committee please rise? Would the members of the training committee please rise? Education committee? Where?
Rick is still,
I resigned, so
Okay.
there is no committee right now.
All right. How about the mentors? Would the mentors please rise? Okay. There you go. These are the guys you need to talk to if you have issues about your performance. Because what I'm going to talk to you about tonight has to do with Gainesville. The purpose of tonight is to review with you what was presented at the FHSAA offices in Gainesville on October the 19th at the meeting of the FHSAA evaluators. Some of you know them as assessors. Knowing what FHSAA has told evaluators might help you in your own evaluation. In this presentation, when I say Gainesville, then I'm referring to FHSAA because it's a little quicker, easier. What I'm going to present was covered in 3 hours. So I'm going to take about 30 minutes and just do the highlights for you. If available, must the stadium clock be used during the game? How many times must the referee correct the stadium clock? What signal is to be used by the side referee to indicate a corner kick? I don't see any. 2 people, 3 people? All right. If the crew fails to read the sportsmanship card, what action will the evaluator take? May a crew modify the words of the sportsmanship card? What shall be covered in the coaches' captains meeting regarding substitutes? How many minutes prior to scheduled kickoff should the crew arrive? How does the crew receive the evaluation report? Sounds to me like we need to go over this presentation. There's a lot of conflicting answers, and there's some misinformation out there. What new items are added to the list which evaluators to observe? Other than the game itself, what else is the evaluator rating you on? Appearance? What is the stated purpose of the evaluation? The number one purpose. What importance does foul signals present for FHSAA? What is the big deal with Gainesville about clock signals? Wind the clock and stop the clock. What's the big deal about that? All right. What is the role of the center referee when it comes to substitutions? What is the job of the center referee when it comes to subs? What is expected of officials regarding questions from coaches and players? What are we expected to do? What is the impact on you and our association if you ignore the guidance that Gainesville gives you? FHSA wants evaluators to come from outside the association primarily to, quote, see with fresh eyes and provide comment from a different perspective. They want officials for the playoffs that are willing to endorse and follow the FHSAA rules and procedures as opposed to what? College and federation. Exactly. The main goal of the program, answer to one of the questions, is to develop the official. Meaning, how do we get the official to be more than they are now? Number 5 is intended to mean that they want outside evaluators in order to prevent what Eddie called the bias of the association. Each official carries baggage. There are events that have occurred, mistakes that were made, or outstanding performance. All that slowly builds a reputation in that official within their own organization. And Gainesville sees the outside evaluator cutting through this bias with comments on who the official is today and what their capability is today. The old saying, as far as Gainesville is concerned, you're only as good as your last evaluation. Essential to the FHSA evaluation is communication and feedback. Evaluators are to be honest, but always give the official something to improve, even if we have to stretch you. Stretch your current skills. Gainesville insists that the evaluation be a positive experience for the official, meaning you come away wanting to work on those areas suggested by the evaluator. Gainesville has expanded the list of items the evaluator is to observe now. Starting this year, we're supposed to get there very early to observe the pregame and listen into it, to observe walking the field, the informal player inspection, including shin guards, the captains and coaches meeting we're supposed to listen into, the crew's halftime meeting, and the post-game meeting of the crew. In fact, they want the evaluator to observe whether or not the sportsmanship card is read, to observe also whether the coaches are asked if all the players are legally equipped, and if the crew fails on either one of those on that card, the evaluator is to bring it to the attention of the official in time to correct it with the coaches. The form has changed on evaluations. Only those associations who do not assign with arbiter, leaves us out, will get the form via email now. We and the other associations that use arbiter will have the evaluation form directly on arbiter. So there's no problem in getting the evaluations like you were having, Eddie. They're right there. Gainesville expects officials to arrive 45 minutes prior to the game during regular season games and 90 minutes prior for playoffs. The book's 15 minutes is deemed to be totally insufficient by FHSAA for their purposes. Temper honesty. What does that mean to you relative to how your evaluation is presented to you? Temper honesty? Gainesville says repeatedly, year after year, to us as evaluators, that they are most concerned that officials will quit if we give them negative feedback. They tell us that every year. Item number 3 is the most important to FHSAA. They repeatedly emphasize we're to give officials something that will improve their game. So as an official, if your evaluator has something negative to say, you should get at least 3, then you're free to ask how they expect you to improve on that if they don't offer you a solution. I want you to know not only what we were told, but what you should expect and what your rights are as a referee. Regarding number 5, Gainesville emphasizes that the traditional moment of truth that college and federation use shall not be considered in FHSAA games. No one play can be used by the evaluator to lower your total score. But keep this in mind. Consistently being out of position, for example, can impact a number of the rating elements such as proper position on restarts, dynamic play, and foul recognition. So get in shape and stay in shape. In conclusion, the bottom line for FHSAA, for evaluators, give feedback for the purpose of improving the official. That's the answer to the question of what is the most important use of evaluation. Here are a few items that FHSAA emphasized to us as evaluators that may be of interest to you so that you know where the evaluator may be focusing during your game. Modifications to the rule book. The big point here is that for Gainesville, the game official is the official scorer and the official timekeeper. But Gainesville wants the stadium clock to be used as a communication device with the players, the coaches, and the spectators. What that means for evaluators, we are supposed to observe whether the wind clock and stop clock signals are consistently used throughout the game. Further, if the clock gets off, then the game official is to correct the clock at the next stoppage, including water breaks, injury timeouts after a goal. And we have 1 point of leeway here. If the clock has to be corrected 3 times, the ADs are supposed to have gotten a letter from Gainesville that we can shut off the clock, turn it off. It's too confusing at that point. And again, official time is on the watch. Evaluators are still to observe, even if the clock has been shut off for that purpose, that the wind clock and stop clock signals are still being used. Too far, too far. All right, regarding substitutes. Evaluators are to observe that sub procedures are covered during the coach's captain meeting. For example, you might say that you're going to hold off subs until you recognize a departing player, and then you'll let them on. Or you're going to tell the coaches, as long as I know who's coming off, they can come right on. Whatever you want to do in your game, Gainesville wants you to tell the captains and the coaches at the meeting how you're going to handle subs, who's going to handle it, how they're going to be beckoned, when they're going to be beckoned. Later in this presentation, we're going to discuss in detail the role of the center referee when it comes to subs. Players can sub during water breaks, so whether on the field, off the field, mixing with the bench, has no impact on the subs anyway. Regarding jurisdictions, evaluators are supposed to observe that the crew arrives 45 minutes prior to the game time for regular season games and 90 minutes for playoffs. Jurisdiction begins upon arrival. And as I said, the old 15 minutes FHSAA feels is not enough to check the field, the players, do the meeting, have the coin toss, the anthem, the announcements, and get the game started on time. So if we did a better job of that, we might not have that problem. More modifications to the book. 12.8.1 applies to players even if it's a bench player. They still get a blue card if they're on the bench. DOGSO, a little different than what you're used to. Gainesville considers hands as generally nonviolent, and that would be a blue card disqualification. That's different from the Federation. For any violent DOGSO, you're going to show the red card, not for the DOGSO. What are you showing it for? Violence, exactly. Goalkeeper socks are to be included with the jerseys having to be different than the opposing field players. Coaches have complained to Gainesville over the years so much about our corner kick signal. They say it gets confused with the goal kick signal, the throw-in signal. They don't know what's going on. So, starting this year, Gainesville wants to standardize the corner kick signal in Florida for the double duel. Note that this is the same corner kick signal in the book for an AR with a flag, except you're using the left arm. The reason for that is they want the SR facing the field, facing the center referee and the other side referee with their back to the goal line and the flag, and their arm 45 down, the left arm. That's what they want. Now, if the corner kick is from the other corner, what do they expect out of CR? They expect the corner kick signal out of CR pointing to the other corner. If it's at this corner, they don't want CR doing anything. SR has already given the signal.
It's the far corner, they want the SR doing anything?
Say again?
If it's the far corner, they want the SR doing anything?
What is the signal for a corner kick by the SR? The signal is the same for the SR. When it's in the opposite corner, then who gets involved? The center referee, and they point to the other corner. Sorry if I confused that. This is the touch line, and I'm the side referee, and I've got my back to the touch line. The corner's over here. They don't want us giving a corner kick signal in this position. They want us to turn and face the center referee and the side referee, in which case the corners are left, and they want a 45 so that we're directly on. Just remember the flag. They always want the flag and the hand closest to the. So they want the arm on this side to be front on to the side referee or the center referee.
They want us to be on the goal line.
No, they want your back to the goal line or the flag. They don't want your back to the touch line. We're trying to standardize the signal. I'm going to skip the rules because I'm sure you guys have already gone over all the rule changes. But they did go over that with us. The points of emphasis for NFHS are the same as for Gainesville. Number one, they want the official to know these words, quote, signs, symptoms, or behavior of a concussion. But they don't want the official to call it a concussion. You're not to diagnose. Your job is done when you send the player off to be evaluated. If they send them back on and you still see signs, symptoms, or behavior of a concussion, what do? Send them back if you want to. FHSA says there shall be no lineup of players to check them before the game. You walk among them and do your informal inspection of players and their shin guards. This is a big deal with Gainesville. Communication. The majority of the complaints that they get in regular season and playoffs have to do with communication or lack thereof. Unlike the Federation, Gainesville does want officials to clearly communicate calls and situations with coaches. They want evaluators to observe whether or not you're giving the signals in the book, that they're clear, that you explain the sub-procedure, that the clock wind and clock stop signals are given consistently. And this is directly from the book, to notify both coaches and all of your own crew of the reason for a card. Poor communication is the area most likely to generate a phone call from a coach to Gainesville regarding referee performance. Gainesville wants the stadium clock used as a communication device and the watch of the referee to be used as the official time. Do not stop the stadium clock at 2 minutes. If and only if the stadium clock horn cannot be disabled, then and only then do you instruct the home team to turn off the clock at 1 second. Just for the purpose of preventing the horn. If they can't do it in 1 and you think they need 2, okay, don't worry about it. Fix the stadium clock during normal stoppages, water breaks, injury time, and after goals. But you still must give wind clock and stop clock signals consistently throughout the game to keep the clock correct. If the signals are consistently given and the stadium clock doesn't start and stop properly, then on the third correction, you have the stadium clock turned off. All 3 officials can echo the wind and stop clock signals to make sure they're seen. Gainesville wants to see clock signals in all regular season games because during playoffs, officials have gotten out of the habit and they don't manage the clock. And these games are on TV. Then don't do the games. Develop the habits before the playoffs. Develop the habit in regular season. Game officials are encouraged to effectively communicate with one another as well as players and coaches throughout the game. Gainesville strongly emphasized to us as evaluators to observe referee communication with coaches and among the crew. We are to look for the use of signals, to look for a quick word as you run by the bench, a formal notification when cards are issued, and also that all crew members were informed of the cards. Officials are expected to address all legitimate questions of coaches. In fact, during pregame activities, officials are expected to answer coaches' questions in detail. Starting this year, evaluators are expected to observe the whole process, to include intervening if the sportsmanship card is not read or the coaches are not asked whether players are legally equipped. Don't ask to have a player removed from the field if they're being examined there for injury. Where the examination takes place is up to the medical personnel. The referee just ensures that no coaching goes on during this time and that they only restart the game after they've been removed. The goalkeeper must be replaced with a properly dressed keeper if the goalkeeper becomes injured. As far as mechanics, you can read the book on that. Some additional items from the book. If you want to do playoff games, you need to enforce the NFHS rules. So, know the difference if you want to do playoffs. We have been asked as evaluators to particularly note officials who apply federation or college rules inappropriately. We're supposed to make remarks to that to Gainesville. Use the proper signals. Remember, the goal signal is a 2-part signal. First, we stop the clock, and then we point upfield. The side referee as well as the center. Eddie? There's no whistle necessary unless we need a whistle to stop play. Something's going on, players continuing. Same thing with a throw-in. If you need the whistle, blow the whistle. Right? But it's not part of the signal. Pre-game mechanics. Remember, we're supposed to observe your pregame. There is a section in the book that says the visiting team must wear a color that contrasts with white. What is that? Gainesville says it is not silver and it is not light gray. They feel that both of those colors do not contrast with white, and that would be inappropriate for a visiting team to wear. Everything else is fine as far as they're concerned. The FHSA wants teams to correct their uniform problems during the regular season. So we have to report uniform violations during regular season games and prior to playoffs. In the regular season, we should consistently file the AT6M, which goes automatically to Gainesville. And if you put Kristen's address on it, it'll go to her. And that way, we avoid the situation in which the coaches say, refs let us been doing that all season. We never had a problem before. No, now they've got a record of all these ATM6s that have been filed on it. If we don't file, then our whole association looks bad if a team shows up at regionals and the goalkeeper has no number on the front of their uniform, either the shirt or the pants. Evaluators are to inquire whether all three officials have one of these shirts. They want you there 45 minutes prior to the game for regular season and 90 minutes in playoffs. During the playoffs, the clock is operated by an official, and it's on TV. But the game officials are to manage that clock. Games are televised, so during regular season, evaluators are expected to use the proper clock signals throughout the game consistently. So by playoffs, it becomes second nature. Remember now, Gainesville wants the evaluator to observe the coaches and captains meeting, as well as pregame inspections and pregame discussions. This is different from FIFA and college and federation. The evaluator might intervene in your coaches captain meeting if you miss something, and that is not good for your credibility with the coaches. Best thing, get the shirts tucked in before each half, and when the sub comes in, they're just standing there, have them put their shirt in. Mechanics. Pay attention to note number 1. Be in the best position to, quote, observe and control. There was a big discussion on this last item up in Gainesville among the evaluators and the two, Corey and Alex. Remember that be in the best position to observe and control. You should read the game and adjust to it and anticipate play when it comes to the side referee pinching in or not pinching in. Note here that the side referee pinches in along the goal line for sure, but can be in any of the white areas. If play needs you to pinch in, then pinch in. But don't get caught. Center referee. This is different than federation and college. Center referee may not overrule any other official, nor may side referees overrule any official. Particularly on boundary restarts like throw-ins, goal kicks, and corner kicks. You can stop play and discuss, but you can't overrule the side referee because you're 3 equal officials. Notice number 2. A decision may be reversed by the official calling the play, but decisions can't be overruled. The primary responsibility of the center referee is manage the clock and game protocol. That's what makes you different than the side referees. Otherwise, y'all are 3 equal officials. The carding official is responsible to write the report. The center referee is responsible to see that the report got submitted. Center referee has all the restart whistles, except the corner kick that's on the side referee side, the throw-in, substitutions, and free kicks that are deep in the defensive end. Except for those, center referee does the restarts. There's no whistle needed after a goal unless it's necessary to stop play. Remember, the book says the side referee whistles to restart after a substitution. The center referee has no role whatsoever when it comes to subs. Think of it as a JV two-person game. The side referees handle the subs in JV games. They handle the subs in varsity games as well. The center referee can whistle boundary lines if they're closer than the side referee. So you're down in the corner, they're up to halfway line, it's all yours. On free kicks, the lead as side referee needs to hustle upfield. The center referee manages the restart of the offside. There's no role for the center and subs. The side referee nearest the bench manages subs. And in some games in Jacksonville, they have benches on both sides, so whichever bench is subbing, that's the side referee that manages the sub. The restart for the throw-in is managed by the side referee who is on the side of the throw-in. If a whistle is required, then that is a side referee whistle. It's not a center referee whistle after a sub. Now, we talked about the goal signal. Stop the clock, point upfield, whistle only if it's necessary to stop play. For the corner kick, we talked about the signal. Your back is to the goal line or the corner flag. Your left arm 45, 45. And if the corner kick is from the other side, what happens? Center referee gives the standard signal to the other side. Yes. Face the crew with your back to the corner or the corner flag. Your left arm should be on the side of the corner flag, and it points 45 degrees downward toward the ground. The center referee signals only if the corner kick is to be taken from the opposite corner. You should discuss the penalty kick during your pregame, and the evaluator should observe that you do that. So if you don't, they may bring it to your attention. They may interrupt you for that. Why is it the Gainesville wants the evaluator so much more involved in your preparation for the game? Anybody? They're looking for consistency. They want us to do it the same way during regular season games so that what happens in playoffs? They don't get a bunch of phone calls from coaches saying, we don't know what he's doing. We had no idea what that referee was doing. Where'd you find that guy? So the side referee nearest play indicates a throw-in. If it's a throw-in with a substitution, the center referee shows the spot of the throw-in, and the center referee does not overrule a side referee on a throw-in. But if there's disagreement, you can always do what? Call timeout and discuss it. In terms of how they expect us to do your evaluation, our opinion of your performance, crew appearance, individual judgments, and referee reactions are the intangibles. They expect uniform standards for referees to be enforced by the evaluator. If you're not dressed properly, we're supposed to bring it to your attention and try to get it corrected. If there's anybody in the crew that can help you get it corrected, we're supposed to encourage that that be done. If we've encouraged it, you refuse to do it, we're supposed to write it up. Some of you may have heard good judgment is the result of experience, and experience is the result of bad judgment. If you want to believe Mark Twain, at least. Evaluators are to be looking for demonstration of proper reaction to the situations without struggling to handle it. That's how we evaluate whether or not you're capable for a game of that type. Not much I can add here. 7 minutes to go. Let's look at the form itself. I'm going to give you the same guidance that we got as evaluators. This is how Gainesville told us to interpret the form. So I want you to know it too. The new form is on arbiter. Match difficulty has been taken out. In lieu of that, Gainesville assigns a multiplier to each of the rating elements. We assign a score of 1 to 5 on every element. Gainesville assigns the multiplier. Then the actual points you get is Gainesville's multiplier times our 1 to 5 rating. The multipliers are such that a maximum score on an evaluation, if we gave you all 5s, would be, anybody know? 50 points. Last year it was 100. You can only get 50 this year. Everybody starts with a 3 on every element. If we observe that element in the game, then we can increase that 3 or decrease that 3. But if we don't see it, it stays as a 3. For example, if there was a game with no cards, then a 3 is given for that element and Gainesville multiplier is applied to it. If you got all 3s on your evaluation, your total score would be, what do you think? Be 30. 30 if you got all 3s. Arrive on time, we were told, 45 minutes. We are to deduct points for not arriving on time. They also told us that they get a lot of complaints from ADs about soccer officials compared with other sports. The ADs complain soccer officials are not cordial and they're not very friendly. Gainesville wants that fixed. Their policy is for you to give your name to the head coach if you're asked. Coaches' questions pregame are to be answered in detail, and evaluators are to observe that the questions were answered in detail if they were asked during pregame. Gainesville used the term unacceptable when they addressed deviating from stipulated practices. The purpose of mechanics is uniformity and therefore communication. So the impact of ignoring guidance from Gainesville is that your performance is considered unacceptable. That was one of the questions that I asked early on. It reflects both on you and HSSOCF, the mentor program, the education that we're given, if we don't exercise consistency in our mechanics. Be certain to communicate with coaches by signal and verbally. Tell coaches pregame how you will handle subs and that the side referee will beckon them on and they will be whistling for restarts. Once beckoned, they can enter. The center referee has no role in the sub process. Unless what? Side referee's always down in the corner and there's nobody else to handle it. So bring that up to the coaches as well. The big question for us in game management, when we evaluate your game management, is whether the official is commensurate with the level of the game. Does the official anticipate play? Are they able to read play? Do they read the game? Are they as capable as the game they're officiating? Evaluators are to observe whether the official is fair and objective. I've never seen a problem with that in this association. I don't have to worry about it. We're also supposed to observe that the clock stops when there's an injury. That we have a bigger problem with. And that you officiate to provoke both prevent and punish unsafe behavior? Is the crew communicating? Is the stadium clock stopped when necessary? Does the crew get the call right? That's what they ask us to look for in game management. Basically, does the crew know what it's doing? It doesn't matter much how fast you are or where you are positioned if your calls aren't accurate. Coach communication is huge with Gainesville. They emphasize it to us over and over. Listening is a big part of that. So we're to observe whether or not you actually listen to the coach's concerns. Officials are expected to listen and respond to coaches, and players deserve the same. The key in communication, as far as Gainesville is concerned, is to diffuse the situation. The composure of the official is what we're looking at. You know, they say fighting fire with fire, it might eventually put it out, but it sure makes a lot more heat. When your only tool is a hammer, you tend to see every problem as a nail. So, instead, consider each problem has its unique characteristics. Remember, the composure of the official is critical. That's what we're looking at. So develop something besides a stern look and a harsh word. They have their place, but so does humor. This part of the form is gone, for those of you who have seen the forms before. And instead, on Arbiter, every single individual rating element has a comment box. The best way to get a look at this is on Arbiter. This is the link. Recommend you take a look at this if you want to be evaluated. During the roundtable discussion, after this presentation, the evaluators are sitting there, and Gainesville asked if we had anything we wanted to bring up. They said that they have not retained all the evaluators. They have, in fact, disinvited some evaluators from the program because they're not following Gainesville's guidelines. They said they have never required an evaluator to change or to amend an evaluation. When an official calls and disagrees with an evaluation, they tell the official that they can request another evaluation, and Gainesville will average the two. FHSAA has phoned evaluators in the past to clarify something, but they use the narrative on the form to answer questions the official has. The bottom line is, now you know what Gainesville is going to tell you if you call. But if the evaluator deviates from the guidelines that I presented to you, you may have a case. The last thing they want you to know, all officials, not just those selected by your association, may have an evaluation if they want one. You can personally request an evaluation from any of the FHSAA evaluators except me. But if you expect your association to pay for it, then you'll have to get it approved by your association. Evaluations have become a requirement for playoffs. Last year, all officials used in semifinal regionals and above had been evaluated. It's expected that the state series will be officials, the entire state series will be officials who have been evaluated. As the Romans used to say, verbum sapiente, for those of you who took Latin, a word to the wise is sufficient. And that word is this: not all evaluators attended this meeting. There may have been 4 or 5 who didn't. When you're evaluated, you might inquire whether or not your evaluator is following the guidance, particularly the ones that you have concern about. After all, you've been assessed in club and college, and you know that no matter the assessment policy, your assessment depends a great deal on the particular assessor that you get. The question is, I mentioned that blue cards are for players. That includes players on the bench. If there's a blue card offense committed by a player on the bench, it's still a blue card. Yeah.
I have one minor comment, and I'm only here 11 years. All of a sudden, Gainesville found soccer. We don't get a locker room. We don't get parking spots where football, basketball guys, baseball guys all get. Okay, so they're talking about relationships with the schools. We're giving, the schools aren't giving that little bit. Okay, you want to come with me to Windermere for a 3:30 game? 1 o'clock we get in the line to get in. So there's your whole day to make it by 90 minutes ahead of time. I mean, so, you know, and you can't find a parking spot. What? Who? Oh, Mount Bird, yeah, well, it took me forever to get that. You could thank Thomas Smith for that one.
What the Greeks used to do, anybody remember your stories about Greece?
You know,
They used to shoot the messengers, didn't they? I'm here to present to you what Gainesville told us as evaluators, so that you know what your evaluator has been told when you go for an evaluation game. I'm trying to make you as educated as possible in this process. And Eddie is happy to take any of your questions or issues back to Gainesville. He's the president. Any other questions? Everybody know the answers to these now? Yes, you have to use the clock. And if you have to correct it 3 times, you turn it off. We talked about the corner kick signal. If you don't read the sportsmanship card, your evaluator may step in and tell you in front of everybody that you got to read it. And that doesn't do much for your credibility. You can't change the words on it. You got to cover how subs are going to be done. You got to talk about the SR, et cetera, everybody's role, when they beckoned on, all that sort of thing in the meeting. You got to be there 45 minutes ahead. And how do you get the evaluation report? Arbiter. So the association gets it the same time you do. The new items, pregame, halftime crew discussions, the coaches captain meeting, all that stuff now we have to look at. The whole purpose of the evaluation is to make the referee better. Therefore, you should get something from the evaluator that will help you improve. The big deal for the clock, it's televised. They want it managed. They want you practicing that during the regular season, so during playoffs, they see you on TV doing all the right stuff. Uniform issues, they want all that stuff reported because they want to tell the school, so when they get to playoffs, they don't hear from the coaches, nobody ever told me. So it doesn't do our association good if you let them get all the way to regionals with bad uniforms. CR and substitutions, you don't have a role. Unless, what? Side referee is down the corner, but you got to talk about that. Tell the coaches that you may be handling it in that case. Questions from coaches. If it's pregame, what are you supposed to do? Detail answers. During the game, what do you do? Quiet word as you run by the bench, or you let the side referee handle it. Talk about it in your pregame, how you want to deal with that. Players deserve to have their questions answered. And what is the impact on HSSOCF if you ignore Gainesville's guidance? Makes the association look bad. And Eddie does a good job, I think. So don't make Eddie look bad. All right? Uh-oh.
Our association only requires 30 minutes for our officials. Is the evaluator going to give them for not arriving at 45 minutes?
Gainesville told evaluators to deduct points if you don't get there early. So, depends on your evaluator. If you're going to do an evaluation game, you know who your evaluator is. Call them and ask them. Call them and ask them. Talk to them about anything you want to talk to before the game. Find out how much of this they're going to follow. Particularly areas that you feel uncomfortable about, call them and ask them how they're going to handle it. You can pick your own evaluator from that whole list except for me. You can pick anybody. Now, they don't have to come if you pick somebody from Miami or Pensacola, because we're not supposed, you guys all know this? We're not supposed to pay travel. We're not supposed to pay evaluators travel. All right? So you know that. But you can pick anybody who'll come. And that may be your problem, getting somebody to come. Oh, yeah, Sonia. Let me tell you this. As an evaluator, I'm supposed to look and make sure that it's a crew of 3 equal officials. And when the SR steps in to talk about their particular job to coaches, they get points for that from me. And I suspect other evaluators give you points too, because you're showing that you're an equal official. Remember, center referee is responsible for the clock management and game protocol. Beyond that, they're a equal official with everybody else. The evaluation is done where? Arbiter. So as soon as the evaluation is completed, you get a notice, Gainesville gets a notice, and the association gets a notice, all simultaneously. And it's right there for anybody to see that has reasonable reason to look at it. Don't pay travel.
All right, that knocks out, sorry about that. That knocks out what Gainesville requires of us to do as far as our sanctioning and so forth for all of you, with Dr. Bro giving that presentation. First coupon we have is 248160. Kevin Marin. Oh, JC didn't get a ticket. You get it? Go see Michelle. Second number is 248119. Oh, Michelle. We'll do 2 more before we finish. We'll be passing out the dry fits, the polos, and the coins as soon as I'm done. Can I see a show of hands of who believes that the high school rules are, I feel like doing them, I don't even feel like doing them. How many believe that the rules, I want to do them, I don't want to do them? You shouldn't be. But we still have, and this is the reason, aside from his presentation, the second reason we wanted to make it mini mandatory is because the season started out well. We were getting compliments from ADs and coaches left and right. Last year we didn't really get emails from people, but this year we're actually getting emails from coaches and ADs. Or when I'd get to a school, they'd tell me, "Hey, you guys are doing great this year." Wow, okay, thanks. Then prior to Thanksgiving and then this past week, it's been the opposite. When do you substitute? Can anybody answer that? Offsides?
You can only substitute if it's your guy. And both.
Well, we have a group. We have a group because I've received 8 emails. They're substituting on offsides, just any stoppage. Okay, this isn't USSF. Let's make sure we get those right. Shin guards. They shouldn't be showing up. You know, if they're, you know you're in for a shin guard issue if at your coin toss, your captains have these tiny little shin guards, and then when you ask them, hey, let me see your shin guards. Now, of course, when they look at you, they're like, for what? Okay, wait a second, I just asked you to see your shin guards. You know. Again, for those of you that are enforcing these rules, this isn't about you. This is, you know, for everybody else. It's a matter of passing the information along to everybody else. Okay? Jerseys are to be tucked in from the beginning throughout the match. Okay? Tucked in. All game long. It's not when you feel like it. Right? It does help you. If you can't take care of the little things, you're not going to catch the big things. All right? Jerseys are supposed to be tucked in. Shin guards are supposed to have a Noxie seal on it. They're supposed to be size appropriate to the player. So if you have this player towering above you and he's got these tiny little shin guards, deal with it. Okay? If the player gets hurt or there's another issue during the match because of those shin guards, it's going to be your fault. You did not enforce high school rules. Okay? You didn't take player safety into account. Deal with it. Okay? Don't wait for a situation to happen. Then you're like, oh, I wish I took care of that shin guard thing. Coaches, I told most of you, for those that were here or those that watched the videos, we discussed that we want you working with the coaches. You know, to talk to them, be tolerable, and so forth. That does not mean deal with or let them abuse you, or let them cross the boundary line. Okay? By all means, I told the coach, hey, if you have a question, you can ask me. If you yell at me, it's not going to work. I'm just going to come up to you and card you. You know, some people are, you're being tolerant, and the coach is being beyond disrespectful. Okay, well, he should have been gone already. If you don't want to give him a caution, you know, if you don't want to give him a right, fine, give him a caution. But at some point, you need to deal with the coach. You can't just let him keep going. It's going to affect the players. It's going to affect your crew. It's going to affect the other team. Deal with it. If the two coaches are talking to each other and mouthing off to each other, yeah, it's part of your match. You need to deal with that. Don't let them keep going back and forth. Handling. Chris, can you stand for a second? Can you stand up for a second? Two players are going for the ball. Stay still. Defender's pushing the attacker. The ball comes between them and hits them in the hand. Yeah. That play, and it was my match, and we talked about I always talk about handling with my crew, but SR2 must not have been paying attention, because not only did he call handling, it was in the box, so it was penalty kick, and he's pulling out a card. Now, mind you, the play was right in front of me. I was literally right behind them, chasing them. So obviously that took a little bit of, you know, discussion between me and the SR and the coaches at that point, because it was 0-0. Now this call is about to affect the match, and it was a good game. Okay, you want to make sure your calls are not, where they're enforce the rules, call the fouls, and so forth. It's not our job to make sure somebody scores. Okay, the game can end 0-0. All right. Secondly, it was a weird situation. Goalkeeper. This is the goal line. They're in the box. Ball's coming in. She reaches down. She grabs the ball on the line. Brings it up to her. Same game. Same official. Blew the whistle. Yes. Handball. Again, now mind you, this is we're in the coffin corner. It was right at the edge of the goal box. They're way over there. They weren't closing in. It's not like they were closing in by the goal area. They were on the line. So they're holding their lines. Many times I told them, come off the line. They're holding the line, and they're calling handling. So again, another conference, another coaches conference. you know. But talk to each other, okay? Make sure we all understand what handling is and so forth. Real easy one, if your game is escalating up, make sure you start making it escalate down, okay? And for those matches where you have a player that they don't want to listen, you have a blue card. You can use that blue card. It's not serious foul play. It's not violent conduct. But 2 yellows, you can give them a blue, okay? Deal with those issues. Deal with dissent. Do not tolerate dissent. No matter whatever. Shut up. This week, we've had a referee spit on. We've had a referee, I'm not going to say because we're live, but he flat out, as soon as he gave him a card, he cursed out the referee. Cursed him out. You, so forth. You know, but again, was there anything that we could have done to prevent that? We don't know that. You know, but if you take care of the little things throughout the match, hopefully it won't get to that point. But again, how you're official, yes, they're red carded. But how you take care of these little things, if you let them escalate, something's going to happen. Gainesville does not want aggressive games. So if teams are being aggressive and they're playing, the players are going to go off of you. And you'll hear coaches yell and they say, hey, you see how he's going to call the match now? It could be because there was a hard foul, you didn't call it. Or there was an easy foul, you did call it. But the players pick up on this, the coaches pick up on this. And from there, they know what they can get away with. Let's make sure they know they can't get away with these things. All right? Goals. Opposite on the field. They can't be across from each other, but they can be diagonal from each other across the field. Do not have them move the benches. Sorry, benches. Do not have the benches moved next to each other. Okay? Leave them on that side. If they're diagonal, that's fine. They're allowed to do that. And then you never know what the history was between the two teams. They might have been done for a purpose. Okay? So, I mean, we had a situation where we moved it, and we found out during the game why it was moved. When you have, I think we talked about Tavares and Eustace, when you have a fight, especially with two female teams, and you have a fight, okay, do not lose sight of the ones that are fighting, okay? So you're talking to each other about who, what, did what. I mean, somebody needs to be watching the players. So that player's not trying to sneak behind you as what happened to get that girl again or get that player again, be it boys. Remember, you want the first ball out of play correct, the first foul, your first goal, and your first card to be right. Those 4 things you need to get right. They dictate your match. So if you miss that first card or you miss that first ball out of play, your starts going this way, you're going this way. It's like, talk to each other, look at each other. Just a little delay. You know, make sure you get it right. And so finish off the season really good. Request your evaluations. You already know about the pay, the travel pay. If they ask for travel pay, don't tell them no. Let us know. Then we'll contact Gainesville, and we'll see if we can get that fixed. But we want you to get your evaluations, especially if you want to do postseason. Any questions for us?
We have an online question. With the cold weather this week, people want to cold weather.
Well, you know, dress up.
Yeah. But what we're allowed to wear.
Also the players. No, I want mindset. It's cold, you know. You obviously don't want. You want to be warm. You want to be comfortable. As long as you can do your game, you're good. Okay, wear what you need to wear to stay warm.
But you're allowed to wear under.
Under your, yeah, you still got. Your shirt has to be visible, but. Yeah, we're not doing that. Hey.
You're allowed to do that. You're allowed to wear black trousers. You're allowed to wear black jacket.
Okay, you heard him. So if anybody complains, Greg McCoy is the Vice President of the Association. Make sure they can email him.
Right, but everybody in the city, yeah.
Greg said that you can wear a black jacket, black pants. You can even cover your jersey, as long as you're comfortable and you're warm. Also keep in mind the players are going to also wear whatever they need to wear to stay warm. I know we have their Under Armour and so forth, going to be different colors. Work with them. If it's hot, okay, well, all bets are off. They need to match. If it's cold, work with them. You don't want to start the match, take that off, take that off. It's going to set a bad precedent before the match even started. Okay? It's not till February, but February 10th, which is our last meeting, which is also when we vote, is also our banquet. We do provide a dinner. So again, February 10th is our banquet. Anything else? Okay. Greg, anything? Kevin? He's a man of few words, man of few words.
I have one thing.
Ah, he's got one thing.
Hey. No, I'm not talking about Turnback.
At the microphone.
Okay. I want to thank a lot of you for being flexible, okay, on a lot of short notice situations. It's unfortunate that we get into those predicaments, but for the most part, we've got some very, very flexible people who are willing to go different places, you know, at the drop of the hat. It's difficult for everybody. You have jobs, you have families, you have other things you were doing until I called you. I don't like to have to do that, but it does happen. And if everybody could really keep in mind that when you turn back a game, whether the reason is, you know, it's okay, you turn back a game, it makes it difficult on everyone, okay? It's hard on your partners now because now they don't know who they're with. You got ADs that don't know who's coming, and quite frankly, I don't know who's coming until I get a call back or a response from somebody that they're available. And if you could, because it's happened this week a lot, because I had to send out a notice. That's when I'm really desperate, you know, when I send out the notice through the arbiter. That's like, I don't have anybody, okay? We did get coverage, thankfully, but it was always by someone who was blocked. You know, if I didn't send out the notice, I would never have known that that person or persons were available. So if you can try and keep your blocks up to date, that would help out a little bit. And just know that those unfortunate instances are tough on everybody. So, and I know things come up beyond our control. We've had accidents. We've had people, they had to stay late at work. I know things happen, but if we can minimize that, that'd be great. And thanks everybody for what you do as far as covering for others. So thank you very much.
Two 115. Two Wait, do it. 164. And lastly, for those of you that go to a game and don't talk to your crew, and you show up on time, and for 30 minutes, even at pregame, you're doing whatever, and water break, you're doing whatever, and halftime, you again, and the game ends, and you leave by yourself. How about being part of the crew? If this is beneath you or your crew's beneath you, you know, you don't have time for them, find something else to do. Because if we find out you're doing it, and I know several are, and their games have been affected, stop doing it. Okay, you're there as a crew. You come together as a crew, you do the game as a crew, you leave as a crew. All right? You don't have to like them other than that, but at least during the match, you're best friends. Motion to adjourn. So moved. Have a good evening. Have a good holiday.